This is the Just Baseball Show. I'm Peter Apple. That's Jack McMullen. And we are joined by Dustin Demeter, our boy who's been on the podcast many a times. But normally we're playing GM, but I feel like this is more of an open forum. This is your guys' opportunity to come back at me and Aram when we played GM on the podcast earlier. Jack, Dustin, how you guys doing? Doing all right?
Dustin, you go first.
Okay. I mean, I'm just out here chilling in Oklahoma. Woke up about 5:30 this morning for weights. It was like 30 degrees outside. So, I'm from California, so that sucked. I'm not used to it. So, but doing pretty good overall.
When you talk about morning weights, like what are you working on right now?
No, we just get in there and we did like power testing and stuff today. So it was kind of like we just threw med balls around and got it tested and stuff. So, but other than that, just like doing lifts and stuff like that.
Because you're a college athlete right now. You're doing your fifth year over at Oral Roberts University. What's kind of, how you feeling about the season? What are you working on right now in January? And your lead up to the season?
Mostly just trying to build my arm up. Because I play third base and left field. So I got a couple different arm slots that I got to use. But mostly just fine tuning the swing right now, because when it comes down to season, I don't want to be thinking about mechanics or anything like that at all. So I just want to go in there and compete in the box. So fine tune the mechanics now. And right now for me, it's about pulling balls in the air to the pull side, trying to hit homers sometimes. But basically just fine tuning it and knowing what kind of contact points I need for what kind of pitches.
Jack, did you hit morning weights this morning?
No, I did not. I actually pulled in at 3 a.m. And
Yes,
Pete texted me and said, we have to record a podcast tomorrow at 7 a.m. And I said, I can't do that. And he said, you're getting up and doing it anyways. So here
7
we are.
7 a.m. is so aggressive. I did not say that.
Here we are at 7 a.m. because Pete made me do this. Hey, real quick, though, for those not watching on YouTube, Dustin is doing his best Ryan Sheckler impression. He's got a black beanie on. He's got thick-rimmed black glasses and a plain black T-shirt. I mean, this guy is going through something emotionally right now, and I think that we should just be here for him, Pete.
I think that's fair. This is also a guy who I've known since I was 1 year old, and he wears a black beanie and like a big jacket when it's 70 degrees in Santa Barbara. Growing up in Santa Barbara, we really have no idea how to dress because we're basically living in a dome when it comes to the weather there. So this guy goes out to wherever he has and just has the same outfit regardless of the weather.
In my defense, it is cold outside.
That's fair, man. Hey, one more thing about Oral Roberts. Have you run into Max Asmus yet?
No, I don't even know who that is.
You're kidding.
No. Basketball player?
Leading scorer in America. Yeah, like Oral Roberts got to the Sweet 16 last year. Your school that you're at right now, he's still there. He's one of the best scorers in the country in men's college basketball, and he's on your campus. You have no idea who that is.
That is good to know. I'm gonna go check that out.
Dustin's like Belichick. He's just there for a business trip. He's there to play baseball. He's not worried about anything. That's kind of like with me too, with the pop culture references. Like I'm on a business trip. I'm here to talk baseball. I don't know anything else.
Wow.
We come from a very similar environment.
This totally is the Just Baseball Show. I might have to like up and leave because I have interests outside of this. I'm sorry.
Well, the interest today is the freaking Los Angeles Dodgers. And Dustin, you and I, when I was back in Santa Barbara, we had about a 5-6 hour discussion in a jacuzzi just talking about the Los Angeles Dodgers. And kind of the reason that we wanted to play GM was because of that conversation, because I realized that there are more problems that this team has than maybe we might think. This barren rotation, the fact that Max Scherzer is now a Met, the fact that Corey Seager is now a Ranger. So when you're looking forward to 2022, how you feeling?
Okay, first of all, still the Los Angeles Dodgers. We still got a kick-ass roster. But even I listened to you and Arm's like GM discussion about it, and even I thought you guys undersold how bad the starting rotation is outside of Buehler and Julio.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there for a minute. I'm going to stop you right there for 1 minute because you're saying that the rotation is barren and the rotation is really bad. And then you say, despite 40% of it
Two
being
aces.
Walker Buehler and Julio Urias.
Okay, but you need guys to pick up innings, right?
Yeah, to his
in the
defense,
regular
that's not
season.
enough. You can't just have two guys and then you're relying on
Correct.
David Price and Tony Gonsolin.
Yeah, but you know
Correct.
how bad the Pirates want this right now?
Yeah. It's like, I don't care.
Well, it's fair to say that we're a little different than Pirates. Just a little different. We're built a little different. Tony Gonsolin, not a guy you want to rely on. I know. Right. I heard Aram. He was kind of high on him, and I get it. Like the stuff itself, it's crazy. Like,
is it crazy?
Yes, he has great stuff.
Uh-huh.
But like the guy, like he like wears cleats that have cats on them. I just don't trust that guy in a big spot. I just don't trust him. Andrew Heaney. I mean, he's never been like great, right? I mean, I think the Dodgers definitely could unlock something with him, but who knows?
You're not confident.
No, I'm not. I couldn't believe they gave him $8.5 million. Couldn't believe it. And then David Price. So that's like three not so good starting pitchers, I think, that are kind of like all fives.
They are kind of all fives.
Yeah, they're all fives and 2 ones basically.
And that's why we made some of these trades. That's why we made the trade for Frankie Montas. I mean, Jack, you hear that. You're debating that the rotation might be better than it is, but what are you going to do with two ones and 3 fives?
Okay, so let's do some math right now.
Okay.
Before we do math, let's acknowledge the fact that there are several Major League Baseball teams that don't have anything close to an ace. There are several Major League Baseball teams that don't have ones.
What do you want to do? Compare them to the Reds?
No,
like we're talking the Los Angeles Dodgers.
World Series
let's
contenders here.
I know. Listen. You guys chose the Dodgers for this week. So you bring me on, you know that I'm going to have zero sympathy. I'm going to have absolutely zero sympathy for your situation. Fair. So Buehler 1, Urias 1. Add those together, that's 2. Gonsolin, Heaney, and Price, 5 + 5 + 5, 15. 15 + 2 is 17. 17 divided by 5 is what?
Like a 3.2?
Yeah, so like a 3. Like you're averaging a 3.
You're the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I agree. It's not good enough. So to jump that number up, you got to replace a 5 with a 2. If you're the Dodgers, you need that number hovering around 2. Nobody else in baseball is going to hover around 2 unless you luck into it like Washington did with Strasburg and Corbin and Scherzer and Anibal Sanchez, or Detroit did when Scherzer, Verlander, Porcello were all there. You either luck into it or you pay for it. And the Dodgers are one of the 2 to 3 teams in baseball that can actually pay for their average starter to be a 2.
And there is a 2, maybe a 1, possibly the greatest pitcher of our generation, Clayton Kershaw, just kind of sitting there waiting for a contract to be given to him. But the Dodgers didn't offer him the qualifying offer, which is funny because if they did and he rejected it, they would have gotten a pick out of it. And they still decided not to give Clayton Kershaw a qualifying offer. Dustin, when you saw that, I want your initial reaction, but then now you've had some time to sit with it. How is your opinion on Clayton Kershaw now grown?
I mean, obviously disappointed because I want the guy to be a Dodger forever. And I think he'd fit really nicely into the rotation. Like he fits a really specific need that we have. Like Jack said, we need like a solid 2 or 3 to kind of balance out the rotation. There's some speculation that the Dodgers did that in order to like give Kershaw an edge and not attach a draft pick to him, which I think could have been the case. I think because his arm is kind of messed up right now and like he might want to go to the Rangers or whatever he wants to do. I think the Dodgers are going to like fully support it kind of a situation. But I still think that Kershaw winds up on the Dodgers. I think they give him like 2 years, $30 million. I don't think it's about money for him. I think it's about like, does he want to be in Texas with his family or does he want to finish it out with the Dodgers? I don't think he wants to pitch that much longer, to be honest. I don't know. Just kind of the vibes that he gives is just, I think he got his ring. He's got he's got the Hall of Fame career already checklist. And then I hope that he's re-signed with the Dodgers, but I don't think you can bank on it.
Dude, he's not that old.
I know, but like, I don't know. He's had so much injury stuff over the past couple of years. Like his back is like shot and his arm's shot now. And it's like, these other pitchers are not aging normally. He's aging like on a normal path. Like he's 33 and he's thrown like 2,500 innings. Like your arm is not going to be in great shape. Your body's not going to be in great shape. I don't know how these other pitchers are doing it, like Verlander and Scherzer, but he's not aging like 10.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, age is like a sliding scale with this thing. What Scherzer's doing, not normal. What Verlander's doing, not normal. What Bartolo Colon pitching until he's 44 is not normal. Kershaw is like more normal. And I understand if you want to compare him to Scherzer, do it, because Scherzer is winning the fine wine category. And you look in other sports too. Like the thing right now is like this impossible longevity with Brady and Rodgers, and then with LeBron and Russell Westbrook, who's playing really well right now. It's with Kershaw, he's just like a normal Hall of Famer, which is just crazy to say. Like he hits a downswing when he's 32 years old. That's just how life works for everybody except the select few. And Clayton Kershaw, best pitcher of our generation during his 20s, but he's aging like a normal human being. You got to be okay with that. And I agree with you, Dustin. He's got interests outside of baseball right now. Like, I mean, just hearing him on like interviews and do these other ventures that are outside of baseball, he's going to do what makes him happy. Like he doesn't care about 20 million compared to 12 million right now. He just cares about, do I want to be in Dallas, which is where I grew up? Do I want to be in LA for entertainment opportunities? Where do I want to be with my life? Where do I want to be with my kids? And I think that's what's going through Kershaw's mind right now.
But the thing is, on the same side of that coin.
Yeah, I mean, he's got nothing left to prove either.
Nothing.
But on the same side of that coin, like you said that you feel confident that the Dodgers are going to bring him back for 2 years, 30 million. I listen to you guys, and I think there's almost no way that he's going back to Los Angeles now. Now I think they might go for Zach Greinke or another one of these free agent pitchers. That's why we mentioned Zach Greinke might be in this rotation come 2022. Also, that they might make a trade for a starting pitcher. That's why I'm on the outside looking in thinking, if they wouldn't give him the qualifying, if they're that worried about his injuries, why give him 2 years then?
You, Dustin.
I mean, I think it's just the ball is completely in his court at this point. I think the Dodgers probably made him an offer. I bet it's kind of like a fluid situation. It's like if Clayton wants to come back, he can come back. But if he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to. He's probably taking this time, this lockout time, make a decision. But I think you're right. I don't think the Dodgers make a trade in the offseason for a big-time starting pitcher. I think you're more likely to see that at the trade deadline because that's when they always make their big moves. It's like at the trade deadline, and it's at the last minute. Some guys that I highlighted, I think Noah Syndergaard could be a Dodger by the end of the year. I mean, if the Angels are terrible at the deadline, he's on a 1 year. I don't think they want to mortgage it like the farm and go for somebody that has like 3 or 4 years of control because their top two guys are under control through 2024, 2025. So they're probably just looking for like a short-term rental. So they don't want to use all that prospect capital to go get somebody like Castillo who might cost you, your top 3 prospects. I think what you guys were talking about, Montes, Lopez, and Sonny Gray, I think those are all guys that you could see on the Dodgers. I mean, if we could package Lux as the headliner for any of those guys, I'm in. I'm in.
Gavin Lux conversation. What do you think? Because we've been hit or miss on Gavin Lux a little bit. I'm not totally sure, but are you sold on anything yet with him?
I mean, it's just been mostly miss. Like he just hasn't performed. He can't play defense. The guy is literally so head fucked that he can't play defense. The bat, you can tell the potential is crazy. But I mean, he needs to get out of LA at this point. And it's contingent on like the DH being in the NL. Is he going to have a spot or not? Because if the DH is there, he's got a spot because Justin Turner could slide in there and you could throw Taylor at third and put Lux at second. But it's contingent on the DH. So, but his value is so low right now. I don't know what the Dodgers plans for him are right now. I mean, if you keep him, you have to give him 600 at bats, in my opinion. Like, he's 24, sink or swim. That's just my opinion. I think they just need to give him at bats.
Sink or swim for you, Jack?
I would be conservative and say that I trust Andrew Friedman more than anybody else in the baseball sphere, and like totally abstain from making an opinion because I'm sure that he has the right read on Gavin Lux. But that's not
totally
what I signed up to do.
Yeah, right,
Like, that's not
political
what I
answer.
signed up to do as a podcast host. It's my job as a podcast host to have an opinion on this and try and bypass Andrew Friedman. So
As you should.
I don't think I should, but I'm going to do it anyways.
I think you should.
I'm out on Lux. I'm just out on him. I think he's in a pressure cooker right now. And I think that the Dodgers are one of 3 pressure cookers in Major League Baseball. I think it's the 3 biggest names in baseball. It's the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Red Sox. If you break in there and you go through your trials and tribulations and it gets to your head, you need a change of scenery immediately. You see it on the basketball side with my favorite player to watch right now. I've told you, Pete, Dustin, I have more fun watching the Chicago Bulls right now than I think I've ever had watching sports. And a lot of that is contingent on Lonzo Ball, who broke in, was not good. Think about what market he was in. He was with the Lakers. That is a pressure cooker. Get out of there. You've got a chance for a fresh start. Lonzo Ball, Gavin Lux, they are one and the same to me. They came in with these crazy high expectations. They're really, really talented at their unique sport. But if you're in a pressure cooker and you're already cooked, you got to get out and start fresh. And I think Lux just needs a change of scenery. I think sell low, get whatever you can in return for him.
It's such a good point, Jack, because Dustin, remember we were talking about, like, if Gavin Lux is on the Rockies, he'd probably be an all-star. But my only thing with Gavin Lux is, and I compared it on the GM episode with Aram, I compared it to Gleyber Torres in a little bit, because Gleyber Torres, if the Yankees were going to trade him this offseason, you're trading him at his lowest value, similar to Gavin Lux. You're not going to get the type of value that you need for Gavin Lux. Aram called him what he'd be right now is like a top 100 prospect. This guy was a number 1 overall prospect. I don't understand why you trade him right now. And to your point about how they make a lot of their big deals at the trade deadline, I would just keep him right now. Max Muncy's injured. You don't really have that many left-handed bats in general. You kind of need Gavin Lux, at least in the short term. Get that value up as high as you can, then shelve him off at the trade deadline for one of those starters like we talked about.
Okay, let me just say real quick, you're playing a really dangerous game with that because the floor can get lower with him. Like, say
how much lower? I don't even know if it could be that much lower.
I don't know.
You think it could get worse?
It's been so bad.
I know. You think it could get worse. Worse.
I don't know. Like,
is this bottom of the barrel Gavin Lux right now? Or is this
thinking about
okay, so you're saying yes. So that means
I'm thinking about like the stocks, right? Like, if you're trying to dump off shares, you see a little flash in the pan uptick. Like, if Lux has back-to-back nights with a homer, just dump him. Just get him away.
Bitcoin just hit 40,000 and now it's back up to 43,000. That was, I think, the valley that we're going to hit with Bitcoin, similar to Gavin Lux with an 88 to 91 WRC plus. That's what we're going to see at the low point of Gavin Lux. I don't think it's going to get any worse. And if it does get worse, egg on my face. But I'm in the situation where it cannot get any worse, and that you have to let him play out this half season. And if he does well, you can trade him. And if he does well and you don't want to trade him, then keep him because you got a good Gavin Lux again. And I do think that there is more of a chance that he bounces back rather than gets worse.
I'm nodding.
Nodding.
Yeah. What else you want to talk about?
Well, we could talk about some potential free agents like Freddie Freeman. That's the thing that I'm the most worried about as a fan of the rest of the league, a fan of, you know what, I'm not even that big of a fan of parody, but you know, it's good. You know, parody is good for baseball. And if the Dodgers get Freddie Freeman, we're all screwed. Do you think there's an actual opportunity for the Dodgers to get Freddie Freeman, Dustin?
I think there's an actual opportunity, yes, but do I think it'll happen? No. I think ultimately he's going to end up with the Braves. And I just don't think that the Dodgers are going to shell out big money for a first baseman. I think that's kind of against their core values. Like they want guys that can impact the game on 3 levels, like in the field, on the bases, and at the plate. And Freddie is he's amazing at everything. It's Freddie Freeman. But just seeing with like the deals that they've given out in the past, it's usually for really athletic, middle of the field type of guys. Like Mookie Betts, they sign him long term because he's just an uber athlete. The last big guy that they signed in free agency, I think, was AJ Pollock, who at the time was a center fielder.
It was like a 2-year deal. It wasn't that expensive.
It was like 4-year deal.
Oh.
With his incentive, it was incentive based. But you just see them going for like impact athletes. That's the guys that they sell. That's the guys that they normally will buy into. They'll actually spend their money on those guys and starting pitching. So I don't see a world where he's a Dodger. Although, like, to me, that sounds amazing. Put Freddie Freeman in the middle of the Dodgers lineup. And we'd forget about Corey Seager. But at this point, the lineup you don't need anything in this lineup. It's crazy. It's still stacked. You just need to address the pitching and then that's it, in my opinion.
Jack,
what if Dustin was just like, yeah, I think I'm out on Freddie Freeman. Don't really need him here. Well, I'm going to take your last point, Pete, and save it and use it as blackmail. Noted Yankee superfan Peter Apple just said he was a fan of parody in Major League Baseball.
I'm a fan of parody. I'm a fan of parody.
No, how? You're a Yankee fan.
Just kidding. I like the Death Star.
Yeah, I know you do. You like the death. You like the evil empire. That's just how this works. We're on like 140. I know you by now.
I'm a Yankee fan wearing a Dodger hat right now. I'm feeling,
You're committed to the bit. Good for you.
Committed to the bit.
Committed to the bit.
So like with Freeman, I don't have a groundbreaking take. Like, yeah, Freddie Freeman would be amazing with the Dodgers. And like, they would just be right around. Like, if you set the over under for their win total at 109.5 games, I'm taking the over if they have Freddie Freeman. Like,
I just think we're kind of talking about this casually when I think it has more legs than we might think.
It
I just
does.
think there's a reason that the Alex Anthopoulos and the Braves have not signed Freddie Freeman yet. There obviously is a reason. He has a price and the Braves aren't willing to match it. Who's the one team right now with infield problems that lacks a left-handed bat? That's the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Do the Dodgers have infield problems?
I don't think they have infield problems.
I mean,
with Justin Turner's aging Corey Seager left, we just talked about how much you think Gavin Lux sucks, and Max Muncy just has an elbow injury. What do you mean there's no infield problems? There is infield problems.
Muncy likely isn't going to miss any time. Unless... Hopefully, yeah. But like, I'm not going to assume that he is. And if so,
why not assume that he is? I would assume that he is rather than not assuming that he is.
Well, I'm an optimist, Peter. Okay. I'm gonna look for the best case scenario here, and that's Max Muncy is healthy for opening day. Justin Turner's old, but he still mashes. Trey Turner, top 3 shortstop in the league. I think pretty much unanimously. Yeah, second. And then you got Chris Taylor or Gavin Lux. Like, there's no infield problems there, I mean, and Gavin Lux could be good. You never know.
So, Dustin, I think you just mentioned Michael Busch, yeah?
I did mention Michael Busch, yes.
I like Michael Busch a lot. I like him a lot. Had him on a previous podcast I was doing for an interview, and he was like great. Like, you end the recording and it's just like a bunch of green lights flashing. It's just like, yes, like this works. He was the most mature bat in the ACC his last year at Carolina. I mean, this guy, the way that he swung it is like, wow, it looks like he could hit 210 in Major League Baseball right now as a junior in college with 0 professional experience. And like seeing him on the Cape had that same deal. And then that ticked up to like 220. And then when he got in with the Dodgers system, I see him as like, okay, he can be an everyday second baseman in Major League Baseball. He's a left-handed bat. He can hit 20 to 25 bombs. I really like Michael Busch, and he's there. Like, he's a college bat season drafted in 2019, I want to say. Like, with Busch, if Lux fails, if the experiment just fails, and you got to dump him off for dirt cheap, Busch is ready by the time that fails.
You kind of, I kind of didn't hear the last part of that, but I'm with you. Michael Busch, like, he manages at bats at a high level. He's got juice. There's not too much swing and miss. He's kind of like a super high floor bat. I think he's a good someone to fall on if Gavin Lux or Max Muncy's hurt, or I think he could be ready next year.
And with all that said, Arm and I traded him away with Clayton Beater for Frankie Montas. Is that when you hear those two names, is that something that you would do? And also we were talking about possibly Vargas, including him in a deal, but it seems like he's the successor to Justin Turner at third base. I mean, you like Edwin Rios, but are we projecting Edwin Rios to be a legitimate starter moving forward, or you like Vargas better?
I like Vargas better. I would not touch Vargas. I don't think they are going to touch Vargas. Like his numbers are crazy for his age, and he's just such a polished bat with upside. He's amazing. I would package Clayton Beater and Michael Busch for Frankie Montas any day of the week. Former Dodger Frankie Montas. I don't think you guys knew that, but he was a former Dodger for like
former White Sox Frankie Montas.
There you go. He's been everywhere. But he's got nasty stuff. Like, yeah, sign me up. Dodgers will probably unlock another gear, like you guys are saying. Michael Busch, like, while he's an amazing prospect, I think there's guys in the Dodger system who just the ceiling is just above what he is. Like, no knock on him at all, but the Dodger system is filled with guys that could just be absolute monsters. So I don't think parting with him would hurt their system too much. And Frankie Montas would be a good guy to go get.
Is there anyone else in the system that you think is untradeable?
Bobby Miller, because he's got like 4+ pitches when everything's on. It's insane.
I'll let you guys gush about Bobby Miller. I mean, Jack's about to freak out when you said that name too.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, you've probably seen him more than I have. I mean, from what I've seen, I mean, it's amazing stuff. And I thought Arm's Sandy Alcantara comp was really good. What do you think, Jack?
I like it. I like it. And let me just like preface anything we talk about in terms of like trade returns with the Dodgers, if they're going to give up prospects for big leaguers and like big league stars, it doesn't matter what prospects you throw in there. Like I don't cringe whatsoever when
Correct.
you say Bush and Beater for a big league guy, because the Dodgers, we've learned over the last 5 to 10 years, they are a conveyor belt when it comes to prospects. 1 through 80 are all major league possible guys. Like they are that good at developing talent and seeking talent. So like if you trade Bush away and you're looking for the future third baseman of the Dodgers, I think Brandon Lewis is one of the best power bats in minor league baseball. He hit like 40 bombs. He just finished the year in high A, over low A and high A. I think he hit like a combined 38 to 40 bombs. I mean, he actually looks like Mike Moustakas right now. Like he's a massive, massive human being. So like, I just think there's always a replacement here. But getting back to Bobby Miller, he's one of the 2 guys that I think you cannot trade away. If you're the Dodgers, I think it's him and Cartaya. With Miller, like he's got ace stuff. Like you don't want to trade away a possible ace. And I think that's what Bobby is, because he's going to be sitting 98 when he comes up with this nasty fucking breaking pitch. And like he's got command too. He didn't have command at Louisville for a little bit, but now he's got it. And this guy has like the thickest thighs you've ever seen. I mean, he gets after it. I saw him after his freshman year at Louisville, and he was skinny. Like he was a small, skinny kid. And then I'm watching like ACC Network Extra, and I'm watching Louisville in a midweek game, and Bobby Miller's throwing his sophomore year. I'm like, who the hell is that beefcake? That dude knows how to bulk.
Dustin, I had a take earlier because when he mentioned Diego Cartaya, that just kind of sprung this to me. I think Will Smith is the best catcher in baseball. I think his bat is far above anybody at the catcher position right now. And I think he's an improving framer. And Arm had a great point. As stolen bases become less and less optimal in Major League Baseball, guys just aren't stealing bases as much. The arm doesn't matter as much. Still matters. You got to control the run, but not as much. And I would call that the weak point of Will Smith's game. Are you in the same boat? I know you're a Dodger fan. Put your bias aside for a little bit. Would you take Will Smith over any other catcher in baseball?
It would be either him or JT Realmuto, because Realmuto is like crazy fast, and he's probably the best defensive catcher while also a solid bat. But I think pound for pound over the next 3 years, I'm taking Will Smith for sure. The guy he's like the heir apparent to Justin Turner, like that guy that can hit elite pitching. Like he can hit elite pitchers' pitches. Like that's Will Smith. So, I mean, the bat is insane. Um, just to preserve him long term, I think Arm had a good point. Like throw him at third base, a couple times a week, especially if this DH goes to the National League. You can do so many things with this Dodgers roster because everybody's so positionally flexible. But yeah, I think, I'd agree with that take. I think Will Smith's the best.
Do you think Will Smith's the best, Jack?
Yeah, I think it's probably either him, like moving forward over the next couple of years. If I'm taking anybody, it's between Will Smith, Chance Sisco, and Matt Wieters. Is Wieters still playing?
I wonder if Adley Rutschman, when he'll take over the top catcher in baseball. I don't even know necessarily if he's like going to be better than Will Smith. And I also have this hot take that I think Francisco Alvarez will end up being better than Adley Rutschman, but
yeah.
That's my opinion.
I agree with you. Like we can share that hot take. I'm cool with that. Now like Adley's really good, but like Adley, I think is going to look the same with his bad year and his great year. Like he's always going to be a really good catcher, but I don't think he's going to be best catcher in baseball. I think he's going to be top 3 for the next 15 years. I don't think he's going to be number 1 at any point. But I also don't think he's going to suck at any point too. Like he is as high a floor a catcher as we've got. Like maybe Bart, but Bart's got some holes here and there. But like I think Rutschman is like so high floor, but the ceiling is a little bit lower.
What do you think about the catching position, Dust?
I think Adley Rutschman I think he's incredible. I think he's an amazing athlete. I think he's got stupid juice from both sides of the plate. I think he'll be the best catcher in baseball here in the next like 5 years or so.
Oh, so you're on him. All right. Well,
I'm not like, I think Bobby Witt is a better overall prospect, but I mean,
Adley's a catcher.
Adley's a catcher and he's amazing. He's an amazing athlete. And it's hard to bet against guys like that, especially with his makeup. Like I'm not betting against Adley Rutschman. No way.
Pete, the guest disagrees with the two hosts. Should we say bye now?
I don't even, I'm not on the boat where I'm like trying to diminish Adley Rutschman's value even a little bit. I also think that he's going to be phenomenal. I'm not totally sold yet that we have the heir apparent to Buster Posey or Yadier Molina. Like we're looking at a first ballot Hall of Fame guy. I just think he's going to be a really, really good catcher who's a multiple time All-Star, but does not take the league by storm. That's my opinion on him. It's not too much.
I agree.
But Dustin,
I agree with that too. I mean,
let's keep talking about this Dodgers rotation. So if we're not going to sign Clayton Kershaw, who are some pitchers that you feel like that we gotta get? Because I know we've talked some trades, but who's something in your mind that we got to get? What, Jack? What are you smiling about?
No, Pete just said we because he's wearing the Dodger hat.
Yeah, Dodger guy, Dodger pod. Death Star guy.
One of the free agent depth at this point is kind of thin. I like the Greinke signing, bringing back to LA. He was an amazing Dodger. He was incredible.
A good Dodger.
An amazing Dodger. Michael Pineda is another guy. I think you just need guys that are just going to fill innings. Like
or Tony Gonsolin.
I think these guys are better than Tony Gonsolin. That's what I think. I have that little faith in that guy. And Andrew Heaney, like, give me something concrete. Give me a Greinke. I know what I'm getting. I'm getting 150 innings of average pitching, probably, and I'll take that. That with the offense the Dodgers have, he's gonna pound out wins. I wouldn't touch the bullpen. I think it's elite. I think it might be the best bullpen in baseball, maybe minus the Brewers. I don't like the idea of signing Carlos Rodon because I don't know how healthy he is. And above anything else, with the needs that the Dodgers have, I want guys that are gonna throw innings, like guys that are gonna take the ball every fifth day. And I don't think he qualifies as that. But the upside is crazy with Rodon. I just don't know if they'll throw $20 million at a kind of a question mark.
I just don't understand why they'd throw $20 million at Rodon and not throw $20 million at Kershaw. That's just my kind of thing. It's like if we're both talking injuries, why Rodon over Kershaw? If Kershaw's been your guy, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get from Rodon. That's why we just did all these trades, right? I think they're in a perfect position. You talked about the conveyor belt of prospects. you have an obvious need at starting pitching, and there's multiple starting pitchers out there that they could go get. That's why I know that they normally do the trade deadline, but why not do it in the offseason right now? I just don't understand why.
I just think that they like to reassess where they're at the deadline, because the Dodgers have so many guys that just randomly break out and are just true impact guys. Somebody that I think could throw meaningful innings for him this year in the rotation is Landon Knack. The guy spots up like 3 or 4 pitches. His upside isn't crazy, but he's an elite level strike thrower if he hits his ceiling. Like, not an elite, he's a really good strike thrower. Like, he could be a good 4. And he's pretty polished off. He had great numbers last year. I think he could be someone who contributes, but that's why they reassess at the deadline, because who knows, maybe Bobby Miller takes 2 steps forward and all of a sudden he's ready for the rotation. Maybe Tony Gonsolin is not what I'm predicting, and he uses his amazing stuff and actually gets outs. So why
are we calling it amazing? What makes you think it's amazing? You've watched Tony Gonsolin 100 times. I've watched Tony Gonsolin. When I watch him, there's nothing that screams amazing about his stuff.
He's got great stuff. He just he can't land anything but his fastball for strikes. He has bad command. But his slider and his splitter are disgusting pitches.
Fine.
Yeah.
I'll wait till I see it. I mean, I still don't believe you. I don't think it's that great, but I think it's fine. I think he's got fine stuff.
I don't like the guy, but he's got great stuff. I'm not saying I like him.
Jack, when you interject here with Tony Gonsolin, what do you think?
I like him. I think he's weird because of the cat thing, just like Dustin mentioned. And like, I don't know. I'm so anti-cat that I want to be out on Tony Gonsolin, but I agree.
I am.
He's got stupid stuff. Like he's got
nasty stuff.
He's got a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. He's got an 87-mile-an-hour slider, and then he's got a changeup that dips. Like those 3 pitches are good. Like it's MLB starter stuff. I think Tony Gonsolin's an MLB starter. It's just I think he's weird because of the cat thing. So I don't want him on my team. There's my hard-hitting analysis on Tony Gonsolin. Fair?
I think that's fair. Dustin, can we talk about how elite this bullpen is?
Yes. I mean,
Jack's raising his hand quickly, though.
Yeah, before we move on to the bullpen, I do just want to say one thing about the deadline, because the way we talked about Shane Baz being the Rays' best deadline acquisition, Dustin May coming back from a torn UCL could be the Dodgers' best deadline acquisition.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's just another guy. I don't know if they come back and instantly put him back in the starting rotation, though. Just the way they baby these guys, like these young guys, they might just throw him in the bullpen and try to manage his workload.
That right there is a segue to the bullpen conversation.
What a transition.
Beautiful.
Didn't even know he did it.
Wasn't even trying to do it. But yeah, back to the bullpen. Obviously, Dustin May midseason. That's a 100-mile-an-hour sinker. And then you're talking about Trinan and Gratterall. Trinan, I thought Peter had a good take. I think Trinan's the second best reliever in baseball going into this year. I mean, he's got a true 3-pitch mix that is just from hell. The sinker at 100, the mid-90s cutter, and then his slider was like statistically maybe the best pitch in baseball out of the bullpen, I want to say.
You mentioned the 3-pitch mix from hell for Blake Trinan. He also had a morning from hell yesterday. I mean, guy had an awful Twitter feed going on. That was really weird.
I think he got hacked. Dustin, did you see that on Twitter with Blake Trinan? He's like ratioing people. He's like, "You suck, bro. You're shit, bro." And like,
I don't think that was real.
I know, but it was verified. That's what I'm saying. It was just, it was Blake Trinan verified Twitter profile with 250 followers, just ratioing people. What
does that mean?
And it came up on my feed. Ratio is something. If you say something stupid, someone comments ratio, and then whichever one gets more likes, I guess, or more attention, just goes to show how stupid the opinion is. So he's out here doing that on random Twitter feeds. But the thing is also what made it even weirder was that, he's in Los Angeles and it's 7 a.m. there when it came up on my feed. It was like 6:30 in the morning. So I think he definitely got hacked. I have no idea what was going on there with Blake Trinan's Twitter.
That's weird. I don't know. He's nasty, though.
He is nasty.
He's nasty.
But more than just him. I mean, even with Kenley going, there's way more than just him.
Pete, what do you think of Gratterall?
I like Gratterall a lot. I mean, look at the turbo sinker. It's hard. I mean, it's just you watch the guy, and it's not similar to Emmanuel Clase's cutter, because I think Emmanuel Clase's cutter is just a little bit better. But you just watch a pitcher like that, and you think to yourself, how does anyone ever get hits off the guy? And the numbers show he doesn't strike out that many guys, but he's still very unhittable.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, Jack, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, to be honest, I place very minimal stock in the idea that the swing and miss numbers are low on that sinker, just because I'm like, how can you do any damage against it?
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. It's hard to imagine barreling up that pitch. You know, like it's like 102 and it's moving about 2 feet, and it just seems like he doesn't give up a lot of hard contact. So, you know, he doesn't strike guys out, but he's not giving up any hard contact either. So we'll take it. Then you got Tommy Kahnle coming back. Peter, you hit on him the other day. He is nasty. Alex Vesia misses tons of bats. He's got an invisible fastball. Struck out Freddie Freeman, I think, multiple times in big spots. So he's got big balls. We're talking got Phil Bigford, who was really good for the Dodgers last year. Really good. Good breaking ball, spots up the heater. Just a solid guy. Daniel Hudson strikes guys out, throws 100. And then another lefty, Justin Brule, kind of like a cutter, just keep you off the barrel kind of guy too. They got a couple of lefties that are kind of like, you know, quadruple A guys. Like Brule's one of them, but he's been good in his time. And then they got, I think, Clevenger, who throws like 97 from the left side, but for some reason we don't see him that much. It's like this guy's throwing gas. But yeah, the bullpens, we're set with the bullpen.
How do you think it's going to stack up? Because you got a lot of arms, and with Kenley now out of the closer role, Joe Kelly is now gone as well. Who do you think is going to be closer? Who's setting up games, and who's coming in the 7th if Buehler goes 6?
I think they're going to take this opportunity to completely abolish the closer thing in Los Angeles. Yeah, I do. I think they're just going to be like, we're just going to play matchups now. And because there's nobody. Trinan's making big money, but he's got no ego about it. Like he's always been fine coming in whenever we need him to. But I think they just kind of go by committee, go by matchups, and that'll be that.
All right, I love that take. But then how about you rank them of your favorite relievers? Maybe not necessarily closer setup to the setup. Is there a name for a 7th inning guy? Like
the
a
assistant
universal
to
name?
the regional manager.
The assistant to the regional manager.
That was good.
But is there? I don't think there is, right?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Good. Yeah. So who's 1, 2, and 3?
Trinan 1. I guess Gratterall 2, because I haven't seen a lot of Kahnle or Daniel Hudson, but those are probably my 3 and 4. And then Vesia maybe 5. Bigford 6. Brule 7, something like that.
That's really good.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, even without Kenley. Are you going to miss Kenley at all? Any parting words to Kenley Jansen, the closer of the Dodgers for the past decade?
Kenley Jansen, I mean, I appreciate everything he's done for the Dodgers, but he was kind of a prima donna. Like he had needed a lot of attention. Like he needed to be the guy. Like I don't know how much he made some questionable comments about needing more bullpen help on a couple of seasons. And it's like, how you get like your bullpen's supposed to be a unit, right? Like, and you're talking trash about your guys. Like, I don't fuck with that. Like he shouldn't be making comments like that. And just the way he carries himself, I don't care to have him back. Great pitcher. And man, he was nasty down the stretch. Like as nasty as I've ever seen him. Throwing 95-mile-an-hour cutters that were actually moving,
actually moving, and not the old Kenley Jansen cutter that doesn't move at all. But for some reason, it's still missing bats. And we've argued about that. I'm like, Dustin, look at the screen. It's 91. You show me where it's moving. We'll break it down. I watch it moves like that much. It still gets it off the plate. But I agree with you. It actually was moving at 95 this year.
It was a little different. But no, I will not miss Kenley Jansen, to be honest.
Are you going to miss Joe Kelly?
Yeah, I like Joe Kelly. Just because he was a real electric personality. If you need someone to, brush somebody off the plate, you call on Joe Kelly and he'll throw 100 behind the guy's head. He's like, he was intimidating. He's a cool dude, and he threw all curveballs too. Like there were outings where he wouldn't throw fastballs, and it's like he's throwing 100, but he's throwing this 89-mile-an-hour curveball. But when Joe Kelly was on, he was nasty, really good.
So before we kind of go over what we think the opening day 2022 roster of the Dodgers should be, do you guys have any other trades or free agents that you'd love to see on the Dodgers?
Dustin, you first.
Or Dustin
I
first.
think
Sorry.
I think what Arm said, we had already talked about it in the jacuzzi, Peter, but I think Tyler Glasnow will be a Dodger soon. Just because he had that he's got that next season where the Rays got to pay him. So I don't think they're going to pay him. I don't think they want to pay him, or I don't think they can pay him. So as a similar situation to the Tommy Kahnle deal, the Dodgers will eat money now for a discount later. I mean, it's going to be the Dodgers or somebody else that make that move for Glasnow, and I don't think there's anybody more inclined to do it than the Dodgers.
Jack, what do you think it's going to take for Tyler Glasnow?
What a fucking joke, dude. I mean, Dodger fans talking about going to get Tyler Glasnow.
I guess we'll get Glasnow. I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's fine. He'll be the 3. Fuck you guys. Actually, fuck you guys.
Screw you. It's called the Death Star. You better get used to it.
God.
Fully operational.
I
mean, you telling me you don't think it's going to happen, Jack?
No, it's probably going to happen. That's why it pisses me
It's
off.
probably going to happen.
We project the future, you know. We're not worried about which team is doing which, and if the optics of the situation. We're worried about what's going to happen, and the Dodgers are probably going to get Tyler Glasnow. That's just the reality of the situation.
I don't know, man. I'm an optics guy. I think those are tough optics for the rest of Major League Baseball. Tyler Glasnow is a Dodger,
and Freddie Freeman might be a Dodger too. It sucks, but it's the reality of the situation. They just got Scherzer and Trey Turner. They do this type of shit.
They do it all the time.
All the time. Remember when they got Adrian Gonzalez and Carl Crawford and all those guys for just money?
Manny Machado.
Yeah.
Machado. Forgot
Darvish.
Machado was a Dodger. That was a flash. Man, they've had some guys come through. Jeez.
So cool.
I think the Dodgers staple is like, yes, you got the big name, but you also have the 30-something right-handed starter that they just like kind of rejuvenate. And you could go get Greinke. There are a couple other free agent names that I want to throw out here. I think Cueto's a free agent right now. Is he not?
I don't know.
I think Cueto's a free agent. Let's go to it. Yeah, Cueto's a free agent. He's available. I think Johnny Cueto could be a good Dodger.
Would be a good Dodger.
Right. I like your idea of Pineda. I don't think Matt Harvey's the guy.
No, what do you mean? Of course you don't.
But
I don't know if J.A. Happ is the guy.
But if he had, but if Matt Harvey had 10 quality starts with the Dodgers, would you be shocked at all?
Yes.
No, I wouldn't.
Yes, I would be shocked if Matt Harvey had 10 quality starts with any team.
I wouldn't be shocked.
It's Matt Harvey. Have you watched him? He's throwing 89.
You know where he was? He was in Baltimore. Baltimore is a death sentence.
You have not faded the Orioles enough. Matt Harvey comes in. It's runs galore, no matter who the other team is.
Okay. So
I would be shocked.
Let's move on from Matt Harvey. Another guy that I floated for St. Louis, I think like Aaron Sanchez could be a name that is in a Dodger uniform. It's like good again. Right.
I like that.
I think they just go after like that reliever that, I remember that name. He was really good one time. And like they just turn him into somebody good again. Like that is the Dodgers special
Knievel.
along with Knievel, along with spending a lot of money.
Is Corey Knebel still on the Dodgers? Probably is, huh?
No,
he's not.
He went to the Phillies.
True. That was a good signing for the Phillies.
Yeah,
he's really a good reliever.
He's nasty.
All right, 2022 Dodgers. This is what we're looking at. We got AJ Pollock in left, or Chris Taylor in left, but I'm gonna put Chris Taylor somewhere else. Let's put AJ Pollock in left. Mookie Betts in center.
Nope.
No, Mookie Betts in right. Cody Bellinger in center.
There you go.
Justin Turner at third. Trey Turner at short. Chris Taylor at second, Max Muncy at first. Then you have Will Smith at catcher, and I guess Gavin Lux is your utility guy at this point. Is that what you're looking at, or would you rather have Chris Taylor in left, Gavin Lux at second, and then AJ Pollock is kind of your guy to move around?
I think Chris Taylor will always be that super utility guy, but he always finds his way into the lineup. Like he's always getting over 500 at bats. He's always playing over 150 games. So yeah, to start the year, you're definitely starting him. But as soon as somebody goes down, gets hurt, you plug him into whatever position that is. He'll be really good at it. And then Gavin Lux goes and plays second base. It's just, do you want Gavin Lux at second or do you want him in the outfield? Because he might be so mind fucked in the infield that he just can't do it anymore. He really might. Like it might be like that. And you might just need to say, okay, you're going to play left field and you're just going to hit.
And he was okay in the outfield. He was okay.
He wasn't terrible. He's fast. He's got a strong arm. It's not accurate, but yeah, he's got all the tools necessary to be a totally fine left fielder.
Yeah, let's talk about the sexiest thing in baseball. Bench bats.
Mm-hmm.
Beatty, Raley, and McKinstry is a really solid bench.
Yep.
Not that good.
I like
Solid.
McKinstry a lot. And I like Beatty a lot. Like Beatty can be your platoon DH that is pretty solid.
Beatty puts together really good at bats consistently. Yeah. Luke Raley's got stupid juice. Seeing him hit balls like 113 miles an hour. McKinstry, he was so good at the beginning of the year. Then was just so bad at the end. So hopefully we get something right in the middle of that. And he kind of turns into a Chris Taylor kind of guy. That obviously not as good, but that kind of position versatility.
Yeah.
I don't think they need a new backup catcher. I know Arm said like Austin Barnes is like terrible. Austin Barnes is not terrible in my opinion. I think he is an amazing defensive catcher. And I think that time and time again in the playoffs, he's put together good at bats. Like he's a gamer. The guy's a gamer. He's got no pop, but he can spray the ball a little bit. I like Austin Barnes. I'm perfectly fine with him. And then I guess Steven Souza would be the
Steven Souza's out here getting at bats in the World Series. I don't look at this bench and say, oh yeah, it's really solid. I really don't. I mean, Matt Beatty's fine. He's all right. Luke Raley can run into one occasionally. McKinstry, we saw what he looked like in the second half post injury. That's it then.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. You either have Pollock or Lux on the bench. So like that enhances the overall value of the bench.
Unless you have the DH. Then you don't.
Yeah,
then you're putting one of them at DH. And you have Edwin Rios, who I think can run into more balls than Luke Raley.
Oh, yeah. Edwin Rios has been amazing in his small sample size in the major leagues, hitting home runs at a pretty crazy clip.
Well, we call him like a Eugenio Suarez kind of guy. He seems like he's going to strike out a bunch, but he could run into 30, 35 if you actually gave him 500 to 600 plate appearances.
I mean, he's coming off a shoulder labrum surgery, I think. So I think it'll take some time. I don't think he'll be that guy next year, but maybe the year after that, because it always takes like Bellinger. Like he was so bad last year, but he was so beat up, never fully recovered, I don't think, from that shoulder surgery, and then broke his leg. And it was like, Cody Bellinger's going to be really good. But like, if you're the Dodgers, are you trading for bench bat when you have this system that just consistently pumps out amazing players?
You probably aren't.
No, you're not. You're just going to sit there and wait, and maybe at the trade deadline reassess.
I was trying to look for weaknesses. That's why I said I didn't love the bench. And if we're trying to build 106 win team again, I was like, well, they have 2 starting pitchers and no bench, but I guess they do kind of have a bench, and it's the Los Angeles Dodgers. They'll be fine. What do you think? Do you see World Series in 2022, or do you maybe think this is not their year? Put your bias aside, dickhead.
I mean, obviously, I think they're going to be World Series champions, but I think that the NL West is stacked other than the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. I think the Giants are going to be right where they were last year. Maybe not 107 wins, but they'll be over 90 wins. Padres will be over 90 wins.
Wow. You think so?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
3 teams in the NL West, all over 90.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I think that the Padres, there's just no way they could be as bad as they were. No shot. They're too talented. Remember Jack can probably speak to this really well because as a Padres fan, like those Padre games at the beginning of the year were absolutely electric. They're playoff atmosphere type games. And I just think they're going to recapture that a little bit.
I love being branded a Padres fan. That was awesome. Spent a year with one of their minor league affiliates, so I'm a Padres fan.
You do have some Padres
Jack's
takes though.
funny,
You were up to date on this Padres team in 2021.
Because I worked in their organization.
Exactly. And you still think that Darvish is better than Snell.
I do.
So you aren't watching. Put down the Excel spreadsheet, watch a game.
Touche.
All right, that about does it. Go check out Just Baseball merch. The link in the description of this podcast episode. Also, go check out justbaseball.com for more Dodgers coverage. Dustin, I thought this was kind of a phenomenal conversation. It was more casual. We're just chopping it up. We're playing GM. It's more of a chop up, you know?
You're just chopping it up. It was
good.
good.
Our whole lives. And I'm glad to bring on Jack. And Jack, I see your tattoos coming through your shirt. You're looking kind of edgy.
Yeah, let me turn my arm real quick. Do I look as edgy as Dustin in the black beanie?
No shot.
We both got to wear the same thing. Jack's got tattoos, kind of similar glasses, also a black t-shirt, and I just look like a little kid on his first day to Dodger school with my striped shirt.
Dodgers!
And with that, thank you, everybody.